Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right, let's go ahead and jump on in. We're going to see where this storyline is going to take us. We're going to do a check in on the topic of love. And let's just see, how do we begin? We begin with a hanged man, Piscean energy. It did come out mostly sideways, but we already have two characters on here and it came out kind of tilted. So we've got the question mark of delays. We've got some either, I don't know if this is like oil rigs off in the distance, or if this is like thinking of like Texas oil fields, or if some of those are crosses. I don't know. I don't usually notice that so much. Something's biting my kneecap. Sorry. Um, there could be a question about if it is oil fields, either that gives us a location, or if it is oil fields, it talks about, oil is typically the stuff that is, the compressed carbon life forms, deep within the soil. And then we kind of drill for it and bring it up to the surface so it can be utilized. So it's wealth that is beneath, or I'll say resources that are, you know, deep down that can be tapped into. So I could look at it that way. Or if those are supposed to be crosses, they're massive. So it's more like a spiritual location, and not like a graveyard per se, but more like a sacred space is what I would refer to that as. So it could talk about a strong sense of spirituality, and somebody is wondering, like, maybe even like drawn to a more spiritual place. I don't know what that's going to have to do with love yet, but obviously somebody trying to make decisions about something. Hi, Molly. Hi, Friendly Fires. So great to see you guys. But I would say it's obviously a character, possibly a Pisces, or more than one person who is either they're questioning, like, their faith on a situation, or they're questioning what's right. In this case, with the Justice card in the reverse, they might be questioning, am I allowed to make things right for myself? Do I have the right, or do I have to martyr myself? I feel like this is a character who wants to stop doing something that they themselves, they've either engaged in for a period of time, and they're questioning, like, why should I have to do this? I mean, how much do I have to prove my strength? How long do I have to hang upside down, with these, holding onto these rings like this really powerful gymnast? I've already proven I'm powerful. I'm not going to do things for the wrong reason, but don't I have a right to actually quit proving myself? Like, that's the way I would say this. With the Justice card being here at all, obviously something was very wrong that needs to be made right. And I think that they have the opportunity to do right by themselves if they allow themselves to change their mindset. And I almost feel like this is one person in this internal war with themselves. Why am I not allowed to just alleviate guilt and go do what's right for me? Why shouldn't I be allowed to do it? And I think that we're hearing them like talk themselves through this. Hi, Ravi Paul. We've got the Page of Cups upright. We got the Five of Cups. I think we may be telling the story of possibly a divine masculine who's on the cusp of finally claiming their own life, but they have to kind of talk themselves through the fact that they're allowed to do this. This is tough because I think that he's missed out on a lot of things that he wanted in life. I think he's in a depleted energy on one hand, which, being depleted or having that Five of Cups, there's a huge sorrow. There's missed opportunities. There's things that he hasn't permitted himself to have. But sometimes that's also where we get so hungry, and that can be our great motivator. Sometimes we get fed up not having enough. Sometimes we get fed up, and that being fed up can be a good thing. That's when we say, damn it, I deserve more than this. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. These are great motivators for me. That Page of Cups, turning the page, starting fresh. This is the hope that he could still maybe pursue things that he wants, but then he goes right back into this. I don't even know how to do it though. I'm holding this map. I don't know what the first step is to take. So he's kind of in, I would argue that this is a character not in crisis mode. This is a character about to step forward into the path that will be better for him, but he's like breaking out of, I'll say, a holding pattern of a way of being, like something that was really unfair, something that was, maybe him martyring himself, something that was, he utilized a lot of his time, his energy, his life. He could be breaking away from a belief system that didn't suit him. He could be breaking away from others' expectations. But the truth of it is, although this should be liberating and fun, the reality of it is it could also be like, but how do I move forward? The idea of breaking away. Okay, yeah, I want to, I deserve to. But oh my God, there's so much. Like, once I have the freedom, where do I go with my freedom? How do I start to fill my cup? It's almost like maybe he's never done this before, so he doesn't really have an awareness of where to go. He's definitely holding that map for a reason. Tell me about the map in particular. Got a Four of Wands in the reverse. We've got the Seven of Wands in the reverse. If this is, let's go back to the Justice card for just a second and say, if he martyred himself, if he disappeared, if he became invisible to a feminine, if something like that happened, he's saying, why should I have to do that anymore? I don't know if he avoided something, stayed away from something for a period of time, but now he'd like to change his life. And he's saying, I don't know where to go. I think it's too late. I think I missed the turnoff to have my happily ever after, even though in truth, there's nothing blocking me from it anymore, other than I don't even know where she is. Maybe this is somebody that he stayed away from, a whole life path that he wanted once upon a time for himself, but he stayed away from it. And now although he's saying I could go toward it, I think it's too late. I think the Four of Wands is technically, it shouldn't be blocked off to me, but I don't even know where to find it. I don't know where to find her. The only reason I went back to her is just because this looks like her, like complete, like she's even in white. And it's like, wait a second, was this somebody he wanted to marry and didn't once upon a time? And now he's saying, I could finally live a life where I could choose a partner, I could get married, I could do those things. It's not that it's blocked me, but I don't even know how to begin to go find her. Seven of Wands in the reverse, there's not actually anything preventing him other than everything is preventing him because he doesn't know where that is or where she is. Natalie D, thank you, sweetheart. You're so generous. Thank you, Angel. Thank you for that donation. Hi, everybody. Great to see you all tonight. So we have him sitting here in the Four of Coins. So this is interesting because we have, we'll just say him throughout this because he keeps coming up as a dude, but just know it could be a woman as well. But we have him free of some previously held limiting belief or some martyrdom. He's free of that, but seems unsure about where to go from here. Knows maybe what he's hungry for, what he's missed out on, but he has no idea how to go and pursue it. So he's actually still sitting here, and now he's his own blockage. He's holding back. It's like an animal in captivity and the gate has been lifted and they could jet out and be free, but they're afraid to leave the cage. That's the best way I could maybe try to describe this. Tell me more. I have a lot of compassion for this character. He's struggling right now. We have the High Priest and we have the Seven of Pentacles. You know what? Maybe this is exactly right for him, though. Instead of, like, he's got to adjust his mindset. He's got to adjust everything to this newness, these new opportunities. Like, this could be mind-blowing for him. This whole sense of, wait a second, the injustice could be over. The martyrdom could stop. I could have freedom. I could choose a life that I missed out on previously. I could change and go after this other timeline. Okay, whoa, circuit overload. Let me just sit with the first piece of this information, which is I can make my own choices. Okay, hang on. I'm free to make my own choices. I'm free to make my own choices. Let me get that mantra in my head and let me just sit with that for a minute because I'm kind of on overload. Okay, now let me connect with my higher self because that High Priest is the Hierophant in any other deck. This is the connection to the universe. Okay, what is the universe saying? How do I, we have a nice major arcana coming in also. So this, and it feels more soothing. It feels like this is how he could get grounded. Maybe he has to ask himself, what does he believe in? what kinds of things. This can also be a card of marriage. We can see that the priest or pope's face is covered. We see that he's not really ready to walk across this bridge yet until he can maybe answer his own queries about what do I believe. Well, I think that's probably really good that he pauses and he says, wait, who am I and what am I doing and what do I need to do? And then let me think about that. Let me plant some ideas about what I actually want. See, I think for a character who has not really had freedom to choose their own path in life, instead of suddenly gaining the perspective of freedom and then just like randomly running out and being crazy, it's maybe better that he regroup, ask himself what he believes in, and start planting seeds. Maybe at least take a week and start organizing himself, getting his energy so that it makes sense. A 7 is a divine number. Finding the divine energy within himself. Remember, there's no blockages with that 7 of Wands, but he has to figure out which direction does he want to grow now, because he has a freedom to grow in any direction. And that's new for him. So if he takes some time, Lois, you're so awesome. Thanks for being here. Hey, Dwayne, Woody X, thanks for being here, everybody. I'll say hi properly at the end. But with this 4 of Swords, I mean, honestly, he just needs to get his own mind and own energy balanced. Swords are our thoughts and sometimes our speech, but he has to just first find his own clarity of thought. And sometimes the 4 of Swords encourages a character to be quiet in their own energy and hear what their guides are saying, what their higher self is saying. Here, when we quiet our own like inner animal, then we can finally say, okay, wait a second. What do I really believe? What do I really want? What is my big brain really telling me? Or what are my guides telling me? And I would argue that that's almost the same as what we see here. Wait, before I just go racing across this, swinging bridge, let me first pause and see, where should I go? When should I go? What will be in my own best interest? He needs to get himself stable in this new energy. So the delay of the Hanged Man is really valuable, honestly. And even says it's not a big delay. It's exactly as much time as he needs to, if we're going to pack for a trip, we don't usually say, oh, I bought a flight today. I leave in 32 minutes. I'm just going to go ahead and just randomly grab stuff. And then whatever my hands can grab as I run out the door. And then I'm going to be gone for 6 weeks. That's not usually how we plan even a trip or a vacation or something fun. We would usually think about it, plan it, set it for a timeline, start thinking about what we're going to bring, start thinking about the weather, start slowly even buying some clothes or a new pair of shoes or whatever, maybe do some pre-packing. It doesn't mean you can't run out of the house 32 minutes before the flight that you just purchased, but I don't see him as that kind of person. And this storyline, this fictional character is somebody who he needs to, give himself the space to pack his suitcase properly. And that begins with his brain. Let me organize my thoughts. I am free. I can pursue a timeline that I missed out on. There's nothing stopping me. I don't quite know how to get onto that timeline. So let me prepare. If I want to take a trip, I need to first, maybe I was never able to take this trip before. I never could have taken this timeline. Now that I can, what do I need to do to prepare for it? Okay, here he goes. We got the 3 of Wands. This is definitely him prepping for his future. I think that we're dealing with a character who really needs a plan. It'll keep him calm. It'll give him courage. It'll give him direction. He doesn't like to do things without a plan, especially not when we can see he's just now coming out of some form of captivity. In fact, let me go back over and just ask, can I see about that Justice card? That feels like the wrong deck. Hold up. What was the definitely like an injustice there? What was the situation that he was either trapped in? I mean, maybe he trapped himself. Sometimes, people do their own injustice to themselves. Five of Ashes, which is the Five of Wands in any other deck. And we see this person kind of in the dungeon of the castle. Or maybe we could say in the catacombs. I'm thinking of in the catacombs of your mind from Phantom of the Opera. But it's, it's somebody who's, going round and round, thinking and rethinking things in their mind. But it could have also been somebody who more or less was kept in a dungeon level belief system of their life. Like they were, again, I talked about somebody being in captivity. This is a dungeon. I don't know where the idea of being in captivity came from. It might have just been the way they didn't believe in themselves. But we do have two people on that card. I don't know if this person was just treated like crap in their life and they believed that about themselves, and they didn't, that hampered their confidence. That could be enough to call that a dungeon. We have an Eight of Swords. So I would definitely say, especially where their spirituality and their sense of freedom was, it was just completely taken from them. My impression is it was either the way they were raised, or it was anyone in captivity for a long period of time, captivity of the mind, or feeling like, maybe it was a spiritual captivity, maybe it was a belief system of captivity, and it really didn't suit them, but it was very hard for them to meditate their way out of it. We see a big change now. And I almost think that maybe he had a relationship with, family who said you can't marry that person if she doesn't fit into our belief system. So I have to stay away from her because they said I can't marry her. And maybe it's like, I know this is wrong, but I don't know how to break away from the way I've been trained, the way I've been raised. It could be something along those lines if we were going to be specific. I'm looking at it a little more broadly and saying he had some kind of blockage of the mind, and that blockage is removed, and he's not putting a new blockage in place. He's working himself through the thought processes of what it means to be free and choose the right timeline for oneself and get used to making good choices for himself. Now, what does that mean about this? Right? Because this is where I don't know where to find that happiness. And I feel like it might have eluded me, that timeline where I could have married somebody that I really loved. I feel like I've lost that chance. What does it mean for that? As he starts to gather his thoughts, get himself organized. We have got the Enlightenment in the reverse. He's pretty much saying, I don't think that there can be the, a renewal. The Judgment card is what that is, and it's in the reverse. Nine of Wands is upright, and the Knight of Swords is sideways. He's saying, I don't see that there's any swift, we're going to get back together and it's going to be oh so awesome. I don't see that, because in fact, I'm still on the healing journey right now. And I don't know how long that's going to take. I think he's pretty wise in knowing that just because he's suddenly out of captivity and he's suddenly feeling like, God, I missed so many things that I really wanted. And now I have, fresh air, and I can go eat all the hamburgers and ice creams that I want, and I can love who I want, and I can do what I want to do. But man, it's been a long time since or maybe it's the first time I've ever felt like I can do what I want to do. I can't just run out and go gobble up all the good hamburgers, and I can't just run out and instantly jump into relationships, and I have to adjust and adapt. And I'm still kind of doing some healing, but I'm getting my thoughts around me. I'm realizing that I can make a plan. That Three of Wands, I look at that as 3 days to 3 months. I can make a plan. Five of Pentacles, to his credit, he's saying what I have to learn to do is listen to intuition, or listen to my guides more. I gotta, how did I get myself stuck for so long anyway and not choose the right path? I want to make sure that, I'm getting myself on the right path, that I'm giving myself the space to consult, to check in, to say what things have been missing in me. Why did I let myself end up where I ended up? Let me understand myself better. Let me become whole. Let me figure out. He's just not ready for a relationship yet. That for sure, not yet in this story. He's getting there. We got the Knight of Pentacles. We got the King of Cups. He's starting to realize who he wants to be, who he wants to turn himself into. He wants to be somebody that can be empowered by emotions instead of closing off emotions, which my guess is this is probably the exact opposite. You notice how we have all the melting snow? I'm thinking he disconnected from his emotions for a really long time in order to like survive in captivity. I think he disconnected completely from emotions, and so for him now to like ease back into that, to thaw things out and not be overwhelmed by emotions, but see emotion and love and wants and desires and things like that, because emotions are big motivators, right? That's when we want something, sometimes it's just like, oh, I'm hungry for that, I want to go eat that, and that's a biological need. But on the other hand, an emotional need is also a huge motivator, but that can also, you know, make us feel vulnerable and shaky and wobbly. He's going to work toward it becoming a strength and reconnecting, I think, to emotions. Good for him. He's basically getting in touch with himself. Good for him for doing what he has to for himself, herself, himself, whatever. What does that mean when he gets himself in touch? We have a five of swords in the reverse. That's when the real battle finally ends. That's when he doesn't have any leftover animosity. He doesn't feel, if he's been angry, that feels like he got cheated out of a timeline, or was mad at himself over, you know, what has happened, or felt defeated, felt ashamed of himself for not having, you know, what it took at some point to just live his life according to his own rules. He needed to purge that out of his system. And I think the more he embraces his emotions, the more he stands tall, the more he feels good about himself, the more any bitterness is kind of like surrendered. And he's just simply basically a brand new man. That's good for you. Good for you, character. That's awesome. This has been more about a divine masculine rebuilding himself. Now, and only now, is he ready to start connecting to others. That makes sense. He had to first reconnect to himself before he was going to be ready to connect to others. You know, it's very, I think it's very brilliant that he knew to do that. That Six of Pentacles is awesome. We haven't talked about her at all, and I feel like we should jump over to her and just ask whomever that Four of Wands feminine is, what was the situation there? Sorry, my little pashmina is falling off. We've got the Hierophant sideways, and we've got the Knight of Pentacles upright. So, as far as she is concerned, she may have been confused by this, but known that it wasn't her journey. There is something here about like divine order and things bigger than oneself in her mind. And I say that because we have kind of the Mayan calendar here, and we have this, you know, the ancient pyramid projecting energy up toward the cosmos, or energy coming down to earth from the cosmos. And we have a jaguar, which is a powerful symbol of, you know, strength and courage. But this is like a slowly moving, you know, like wheel of destiny, let's say, with a lot of murkiness and a lot of confusion and a lot of unknowns and a lot of mysticism involved. And when we couple it with the Hierophant being sideways, she was confused about this. She wasn't able to make sense of whatever happened between herself and them. She may have always said, I don't know. I never got all the information. My higher self, I would question, why did I meet them? What happened to them? What on earth is going to happen with this? And she's like, I don't have a damn idea. I don't know. There's something mystical. There's something powerful, but there's also something that seems like I'm not in control of this any more than I'm in control of the alignment of the planets. There's something about this that it's, I think she knew it was going to be a weird passage of time before anything would play out in a way that she would maybe gain understanding. And I almost think she just accepted it for that. Yeah, the moon. I don't know. I'm on the other side of the river and I haven't got a clue how to cross it. The moon is the mystery, the hidden, the energy of like, we can see the moon, we know it has a gravitational pull, but what, I haven't been to the moon. I don't know what the other side of it looks like. There's a lot of interesting, cool things about the moon that are still mysterious. And I just think she can hear the wolf on the other side of the river. So there's some kind of like, I know this is part of my wolf pack, but I don't know what it means. Maybe I was just supposed to meet him and that's all it was. Maybe it was just to know that there's some other wolf pack member out there. I definitely feel like she's saying because of the two wolves howling, and wolves howl to like locate each other. Um, I do feel like she says, I found somebody who I know is powerful and important in my life, and I haven't got a damn clue as to what it is supposed to be. I don't know why I met them. I don't know what their purpose is in my life. I couldn't figure it out. Probably because why on earth would I meet somebody who's trapped in a dungeon? Why, if I'm supposed to be with them, would they be inaccessible? How unpleasant and cruel would that be that I meet my wolf pack, my alpha mate that I'm supposed to share a life with, but I can't share a life with them? That just seems bizarre. We have a 7 of Cups, which is, again, I don't know. It's the confusion. She may have done some serious meditation, some praying to whatever God she prays to, like, give me a sign, give me a smoke signal, let me understand what is going on here. We've got an active volcano here in the distance. She may have said, can I just need to understand. I know it's something divine because that's a 7, and 7 is a divine number, but I'm real confused. The universe answered with Wheel of Fortune, divine timing. So we go back to that interesting, mysterious Mayan calendar, the timing, they were great astronomers watching the movement of planets. And here she is saying, I don't know. I don't understand this. I got to meditate and ask, can I understand why I met them? And the answer is, it's not clear yet because it's not clear yet. With the Wheel of Fortune, though, there is something. I usually look at a Wheel of Fortune as like a year's cycle, just like I look at the world card like that sometimes also, just because oftentimes the Wheel of Fortune is associated with like the 4 seasons. This to me says, I don't know, maybe 2025 is going to be the timeline. Maybe, I don't know if she senses it or feels it, or if in her meditation she got some kind of peace of mind that said, oh, something is coming into alignment. Maybe this has to do with Pluto. I don't know. But there is some kind of alignment that's coming in now. We have the Sun and we have the Queen of Swords. If anything, because she's had the wherewithal to say, I don't understand, and I can't pretend that I have information that I don't, but I am capable of understanding once things are revealed to me. It's like the most intelligent person in the world cannot solve problems without the right data. You give an amazing physicist, the question mark of, how does the universe operate? And they may have a brilliant mind and they may be able to conceive of all kinds of hypotheses and theories and things like that. But unless things can be tested, unless there can be proof and data, they still can't answer that question. And basically that's her. Super intelligent, and also intelligent enough to know when she can't access information because she doesn't have the facts yet. She doesn't know. She hasn't gotten the information. But when it becomes clear, she'll really be able to like understand it at a very profound level as to why all this happened. All I can say is that it's frustrating perhaps because she won't know the answer until she knows the answer. So she kind of has no choice but to surrender all of this until the day comes when something is answered in front of her. Now, this could come about somewhere in winter time. So maybe, it's winter where I'm at just because I'm in the northern hemisphere. But we have all the winter still is going on in 2025, of course, but that could be that she's going to get answers on this. And then what does that mean for her? What will she, if she finally learns this about them, she learns what kind of a dungeon they were in, she learns why she met them but then wasn't with them. We see this opportunity for them to have a joyful time together and kind of a time of innocence and a time of maybe beginning a union from the ground up, or maybe she will learn that they are simply, you know, maybe past life soulmates or something. We have a Five of Swords, but this Five of Swords talks oftentimes about battles and conflict and wanting to win. But you notice that we actually are looking at it more again like a Wheel of Fortune with moon cycles, with some, yes, there's some sharpness, but there's also five is a number of change. And it's kind of like the seasons of change as well. I'm going to say that when this becomes clear to her, I think she will better understand the obstacles that this relationship or this union faced. Maybe she'll understand their obstacles. Maybe she'll understand what they were fighting against, what they were up against. I don't know. What does this mean for her? Oh, I'm sorry. These are the cards that already came out. I totally thought I knocked over this cluster that we've already talked about, and I thought that was one that had just jumped out from this deck. Nothing has jumped out. Okay. Maybe that was important, though. Hang on. Oh, for her, what did just come out was the Prince of Wands in the reverse, but hang on. That would be somebody who's not been a player, by the way. But the fact that my hands accidentally thought when I knocked these over, because they're kind of upright and tilted, leaning against my little tower here. But as I bumped it and they fell over and I thought it was a card that had jumped out, I'm asking, what is it going to be like for her when she gets this information about what exactly went on with them? And this is kind of like it feels like she's going to be able to fully comprehend their entire experience, them in the dungeon, why they didn't feel like they could escape the dungeon, where they've been, what they've been working on, why they had to become someone who could be more connected to their emotions instead of look at that as something confusing or scary, why they've needed the time to build themselves into this individual. I almost think that the entirety of the journey is going to make sense to her. That doesn't mean that these two are going to be happily ever after as lovers. Maybe they're just going to be really good friends. But for her to fully comprehend all the bits of information that she was not privy to, and the fact that it was not something that was trivial, it wasn't something that was meaningless, she didn't meet this person for no reason. Who is she to them? I mean, we saw them already thinking of her as somebody that they would want to marry, and even as somebody that they believe, at least for a period of time, like I've ruined that timeline. But as they get their bearings and as they get themselves more squared up and they get themselves more balanced, who is she to them? How do they view her? Queen of Cups, somebody that truly loved them deeply. Seahorses mate for life, just like alpha wolf packs mates do. So they see her as the one. Also, as they become that King of Cups, she is a Queen of Cups, which is a perfect match. They also see her as the Ace of Pentacles, but along with that Seven of Swords, they see her as the new beginning. They see her as somebody that's come to the end of one pathway, and she represents the new beginning. The Seven of Swords it's cloaked. The serpent next year is Year of the Snake. Year of the Snake, and that's what she is on this. And this is normally a Seven of Swords can be a really negative energy, but this is not negative in that normal way. What we see is somebody who's actually been holding on to something precious, right? She's holding on to her little eggs here. She's acting like, I'm not a serpent. I'm not. Everything's fine. I'm not secretly petrified that I'm going to lose something precious to me. I'm going to act like everything's fine. Hopefully people will just pass me by and they just won't even notice what my fears really are. And I almost think that this is somebody who's been deceptive, not to be unkind, but somebody who's been deceptive because there was too much at stake. There was too much that, you know, would be in their undoing. And it's interesting that when I say, how does he view her? He views her as his person, the person that he would emotionally match with still. He views her as somebody that if she tried to move on in her own life and have a new beginning, he may say, I know something about her though. I know that she loves in a very like a committed way. I know that even if she's trying to start fresh and even if she represents a fresh beginning for me, there are elements of her that are so like sacred that she won't ever let go of things. She may come across as really nice, but I know she has fears too. And I also know that she holds on tightly to things that she loves. But this is a chance to transform a lot of things. It's almost like she maybe is at risk of transforming her own self also. Like she's coming to the end of a road here as well. Maybe to finally like let go of him. I don't know. It almost feels like he is understanding something like this is happening in the nick of time. This is coming back together. He is ready in the nick of time because maybe maybe 2025 is that time where as much as she has genuinely loved him, she's ready to release him. And he might be understanding all of that. She's been cloaking it. She hadn't actually let go, but she's on the cusp of having to do that, coming to the end of the road and saying, I've got to meet somebody new. This has to change now. I loved you, but I have to let you go. He might be understanding that, like, holy smokes, this is in the nick of time. Remember, we had the divine timing already. We've had a lot of that going on in this. Final message. 7 of Cups. And this is time for the stars to align. Yes, the card was sideways. This feels like whatever is in their greatest and highest good. Of course, our characters have their choices to make. They get to decide what star they'll pluck out of the night sky. What is their wish fulfillment? They don't have to say yes to anything that they don't want. But in this storyline, again, the divine aspect of a 7 is here. 7 of Cups is the opportunity. And I would just say it this way. If in the universe, we can always pick different timelines, right? We can always choose a new direction for ourselves at any point in time. But if these two had still always wanted this timeline, then even if it was a little bit delayed, that timeline is still there. It's still possible. It's still plausible. It is still within their grasp, unless one or the other of them chooses not to actually move toward that. I do think that we're at that cusp, though, where this timeline, she's about to abandon this timeline completely. To a certain extent, she did let go of it, is what it said, because she couldn't understand it. And she's like, well, I don't have the information to understand it. So when I meditated, all I got out of it was divine timing will explain it all. And I kind of think that, that's not an answer. That wasn't the universe saying, oh, just wait for them, just sit there and wait for them. I think she couldn't help but kind of wait, because I think that's just how she loves, or that's how she's made. But I also think, Queen of Swords is somebody who can say, I can't help the way I'm made. Even if I say I'm not going to wait for something, maybe I still am. But at some point, it doesn't prevent her from still living. A Queen of Swords is very much in control of her own energies, but she is also a Queen of Cups. And she's also that serpent that holds on to the eggs. So she's never really let go of this, even though it didn't prevent her from living, if that makes sense. And I think in 2025, she's going to be choosing a new path, even if it wasn't what she would want. I think she will be somebody who could be capable of loving a different person. But if they get back to her in time, it just looks like, even though we end with that 7 of Cups sideways, it looks like the question mark still exists. What will happen? And I think much of it has to do with, well, if they get to her in time, it seems like she would still choose them. But I do think that the year of the snake it's a time where everything has to change, which is really what a serpent is. It's time to make a change. So it's either us or it's me and somebody else. But the change is coming. And I gotta say, this looks like he's ready. It looks like he's done what he needed to. So he's gone through a change by now as well. I don't know how these always get so long. It just seems to happen at night. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Tammy Secord, it's so nice to see you again tonight, sweetheart. Hi, Diana. Lois, you angels, so grateful to hang out with you tonight. Confetti Poet, wonderful to see you again tonight also. And thank you, Bobby. Sunshine, hi, honey. Hi, Patricia, thank you for the hearts. EM, you angel, thank you for being here. I used to love him. Thank you for being here, honey. Lots of love to you also. Peace and love, Samira, Gabriella, Annalisa, and Christopher Thacker. Glad you made it. Hi, Mirabuka. Thank you, sweetie. Thank you so much. And thank you, Roxanne. You guys are so amazing. Thank you guys for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. Thank you so much for reminding me to say that. You guys are so awesome. Warrior in Chains. Hi. Hi, Dwayne Anderson. Lucia. Hi, honey. So good to see you. Oh my gosh. That is so awesome. Natalie, thank you again, honey. Victoria Knox. AC, great to have you in the house tonight, honey. Thanks again, Heart Rocks. And Friendly Fires, you were first in the house tonight. Molly, I love the little blue dog prints. It's so perfect for my blue healer. You're so smart. That's such a sweet touch. Thank you. All right, you guys, have a great evening. Lots of love. Oh, that's wonderful. Lucia, that's awesome. You changed your name to Williams. Nice. Nikki, oh my gosh, Lucia, you always, well, not always, but it makes me think of that awesome song by The Veils, by Finn, Lavinia. I love that song so much. And at the end, he keeps singing Lucia, Lucia. But, I love that song, My Sweet Lavinia. It's such your name is so unique. I love it so much. Thanks again, Friendly Fires. You sweetheart. Thank you. Oh, Lucia, it's such a beautiful song. Oh, I love The Veils anyway. I believe Finn Anderson, I think is his name. I think he's an Australian singer, if I'm correct. It's super amazing voice, and it's like this, the music in it is just so theatrical, like has you swaying, and it's just beautiful. Anyway, I don't think there's any songs that have my name in them. I don't know if there's any Kate songs, but I'll tell you, I'm jealous of the song that has your name in it because it's so beautiful. Oh, you sweetheart. I used to love him. I love music, and I have no musical talent whatsoever. And I'm from a family where we all have no musical talent and we all love music. And so I have so much music around me, and I grew up with so much. And it's like, I mean, there's no kind of music that I haven't either gotten into or wanted to listen to or seen live. And oh my gosh, it's like food. And it's so funny to have zero talent for it and then be such, like, I think my purpose in life is to be an audience member and to cheer for musicians. I so admire them. Hey, you sweetheart. Thank you. Oh, Lucia, you're awesome. I know, the confetti poet, you're right. Like, who, if musicians, they have such an incredible gift to all of us. And, it would almost be sad if there weren't people who can just like absorb it and gobble it up and be so thrilled by it. I don't know what I'd do without music. It's so powerful. All right, you guys, take care. Lots of love, everybody. Sweet dreams. Bye, Bobby. Thank you, hun.